Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome back. We have a couple of things to talk about today. Mara wants to increase more shares. They're going to have a special vote coming up in February. We'll talk about that. BitDigital has, there's an update on their HPCI business. We'll take a look at that. What else do we have there? There was something else. Oh, ETFs. Grayscale. Was it BlackRock? Can't remember now. One of those two is trying to amend their ETF. We'll talk about that as well. We'll take a look at what happened with Bitcoin today. It was up today, but it was just another roller coaster ride today. It was down in the morning, up in the afternoon, and down by the end of the day. Same with the miners for the most part. So we'll take a look at that, and that is going to be it. So it's going to be pretty light and easy show today. But as always, you guys know, not financial advice. For entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened with Bitcoin today on the daily. And we can see here that Bitcoin was up much higher, then it came back down. It was also lower, but it did go up. So at least we finished out in the green today. We were up a little bit. We were up $923 to a close of $104,850.27. We did reach a high of $107,200 today, and then we came back down here. So it's kind of a repeat of what we saw yesterday as well. Got higher, came back down lower, and we are kind of off a little bit here. I mean, we're kind of flat more or less. I mean, we're down, 0.05% on the new day. Again, today, MicroStrategy was down for some reason, 5.21%. This one has been continuing on a downtrend here over the last 4 days, more or less, while Bitcoin's been kind of mixed and flat anyway, so it doesn't really matter there. But MicroStrategy has been coming down here a little bit. Not much, though, but it is down today, 5.21%. Bitfarms is up just a little bit here, 1.24%. It did a lot better during the morning hours or towards like the early afternoon, and then came back down. BitDeer was up nicely, 4.58% today. It was up higher also, then came back down. We saw a lot of that happening today. I think just the algos are playing it pretty well here. They're bidding up and then bidding them lower again. Cypher was up nicely, 6.69%. It was up even higher than that. It was up like almost 14% at one point. And then it came back down. Cleanspark was up also much higher. It finished out today at 1.05% on the upside. It was also like almost 5% at one point. CORZ has been down today. Finally a down day on that one. It's down 2.2%. Otherwise, it's had how many days? Looks like 7 days in a row of green days. So it had a nice little pullback here today. Hive was down a little bit here as well, 0.64%. Hut was up a little bit, 2.4 as well. IREN was up 8.47%. Nice day, nice kind of, what do you want to call this? A pullback, or not a pullback? I would say, what would you call this? This going back up, right? It had a fall here when they reported that they are looking to do an ATM for $1 billion, and then it's retraced back up to the upside and even higher here now, which is nice to see. Mara was up just a little bit here, 0.2%. It was also up much higher during the day, then it came back down. Riot, 4.23%. Same thing, up higher, then came back down. Wolf, same thing. It was up 2.18%, so we saw the same thing happening on that one. Some of the smaller miners were up also a little bit here. Digihost, Mawson, and Stronghold were the only ones that were down. And the ETFs were actually in the green today again, so that was kind of nice to see there. Then what else do we have here? Kang was up again, 7.35% on that one. It's still way down from where it was actually, but it was up here the last 5 days, sorry. Applied was down. Trump coin was down another 4.1% on that one. That one's just been coming down as well. Tesla was down a little bit, 1.41. Galaxy was down 4.18%. It's had a nice run up here. So I think I talked about that one yesterday a little bit when I said it might actually come down because it's been going up quite nicely here. So that one's been down as well. Next year, let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. On the month of January, it's up 11.47%, which isn't too bad. We're still in the green, and we have roughly, what do we have? We are 24, so what do we have? 7 more days left in the month. We'll see where we end up by the end of the month. Right now, it's looking pretty good for us. Let's get into some of the news that we do have here, and then we'll get into your guys' Q&A, so it should be pretty sweet and short here. So this was just in from Bitcoin News. BlackRock has filed for in-kind redemption for their Bitcoin ETF, meaning investors can redeem their shares for actual Bitcoin instead of cash. That's kind of actually pretty cool, right? That goes through. This is what they originally wanted to do for in-kind. So whether you're buying from in-kind, originally they were hoping that like Bitcoin Trust could move shares from that over to that, or Bitcoins from this to that. But now they're also offering it possibly. We'll see if this gets approved through the SEC. But this would be good. So if you bought the ETF there from BlackRock, you would be able to actually get Bitcoins if you wanted to pull that out instead of cash. So that's kind of cool. So that's just good news there, right? More adoption, more ways that you can interact with Bitcoin. This is all good news there. Next one is on Digital here. They report they secured a new B200 GPU contract with key customer here. So Digital today announced a new agreement with a key customer for 464 NVIDIA B200 GPUs, expanding its GPU cloud business. This new agreement replaces a prior agreement whereby the company was to provide the customer with an incremental 2048 H100 GPUs, and the company continues to explore additional GPU contracts with this customer for 2025. So, I mean, based on the numbers here, it does look like a decrease, but I believe these B200s are better than the H100s. So that's maybe why they're going with those instead of, more of those. Let's see, under the terms of the agreement, Digital will provide the customer with 58 NVIDIA B200 servers, 464 GPUs for a period of 18 months. The contract represents approximately $15 million of annualized revenue for Digital and features a 2-month prepayment from the customer. However, the customer may deduct 100% of the services fees for the $30 million non-refundable deposit previously paid to the company. The contract is scheduled to commence on June 30th, so that's quite a ways out, basically 5 months out, almost 6 months out, I guess you could say. And the GPUs will be deployed in Iceland. To fulfill the contract, Digital has placed an order for 58 NVIDIA B200 servers for approximately $21 million, which are expected to be delivered well in advance of the service commencement date. Digital intends to finance the purchase with cash and customer deposits and intends to retain complete ownership of the servers. So that's pretty good news there, right? And they just continue to build on what they've started to build on for their HPC business. It's smaller contracts, right? We talked about this in the past. They're not looking to get a CoreWeave deal or something like that. They're looking to help and support these kind of smaller contracts with these customers that want smaller, HPCI setups for whatever their needs are. So, they keep delivering on this. So this is really good news. It's, more revenue for them going forward. So that's good. And then finally here, the last thing that I have for you guys here, which isn't much obviously today, kind of slow day with the miners. But Mara, they provided a notice of virtual special meeting of stockholders, and you are cordially invited to virtually attend the special meeting of stockholders, Nevada Corporation Company, to be held on February 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The proposal to be voted upon to approve and amend to our restated articles of incorporation to increase the number of shares of common stock authorized for issuance from 500 million shares to 800 million shares, and to approve one or more adjournments of the special meeting to a later date or dates if necessary or appropriate, to solicit additional proxies if we conclude that there were insufficient votes to approve proposal number 1 at the time of the special meeting or any adjournment thereof. Okay. Let's see here. We may also transact such other business as may be properly brought before the special meeting or any postponements or adjournments thereof. Okay. So basically, they're looking to increase the number of shares that are available to them by 300 million. They currently, as of last report for them, which was basically their Q3 results, they had about 321 million shares. If I'm not, yeah, that was from that one. So they still haven't really reached the 500 million, and they're already looking to increase that by another 300 million. What are they going to do with that? Those shares? I'm guessing they're probably going to use that for maybe some more growth here, buy some more Bitcoin as well. Those are the type of things that I'm thinking they're going to use it for. When will they use it all? I don't know. I'm guessing probably within the next couple of years. Or they could just pull really hard on it and use it all within the first year or 2 years. Really don't know. But I'm guessing it's going to be for the next couple of years, at least probably 3 to 5 years potentially, unless they really do pull hard on it to get more Bitcoin, right? Are they going to be going the route that MicroStrategy is going? Using the convertible debts, the ATMs, anything that's available at their disposal to increase the number of Bitcoins that they hold here. As we know, they have been buying a lot of Bitcoin here recently. They currently have 44,883 as last reported at least. And you can see that they bought about 6,490 in November, 9,000, something like that. That could also include what they actually mined in there as well, because I don't separate that out. But that's a lot, right? They basically added in about 1.4 billion of dollars of Bitcoin treasury in the last couple months here, November, December especially. They also bought some back in August as well, looks like. August and July also, based on these numbers here. So we'll see what happens with that. Right, it's never, well, we'll see how the stock does going forward and what they actually end up using it for. I don't think they stated what their intentions are for that here. Maybe they did. Proposing increase adjournments. Let's see, additional information. Question and answers about the special meeting voting. Let's see if there's anything. Where to vote. What proposals are being asked. Okay. Why? Who can vote? How many votes? Brokers. What is the quorum requirements? Let's see. Yeah, not much here as far as what's going to be used for. Proposal increase of the third. Let's see. Let me peruse this really quick. Let's see. The board believes it is the best interest of the company to increase the number of authorized shares of common stock in order to give the company greater flexibility in considering and planning for future corporate needs, including but not limited to financings, including financings to acquire additional Bitcoin. Yep, there you go. Potential strategic transactions, including mergers and acquisitions and business combinations, grants under equity compensation plans, as well as other general corporate transactions. The board believes that additional authorized shares of common stock will enable the company to take timely advantage of market conditions and favorable financings and acquisitions opportunities that become available to the company. So pretty much the standard boilerplate for these guys and any company that's here in the mining space. It's all about growth, acquisitions, increasing their HODL position, things like that. All right, so we'll see if that gets through. I'm almost 100% certain that's going to get passed through. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. It's Easy Friday here. Not much going on here. What else do we have here? Yeah, that's it. Let's get into a Q&A side of things. Then we'll call it a day. We'll get out of here early and maybe watch a movie or something like that. Let me see here. Where do I want to go? I want to go here. But again, thank you so much for coming in as always, you guys. And then if you guys have a question, preface it with a Q or a question mark. And then I will definitely get through it all. And I see only one question here right now, so that's going to be good. Let's see. Julian asks, question. Hi, Seb. Thanks for the research. I just got a good chunk of cash to invest already heavily in Cleanspark, IREN, Mara, Bitfarms, Bitdeer. Would buy more Cleanspark shares or diversify in other miners, Riot, Hive, etc. Thanks. You have a great list there. I mean, you're very well diversified as it is already. So do you want to get other miners as well? So you're thinking about maybe Riot, Hive, etc. I can tell you that Riot right now is questionable to me because they're stopping the growth on the Bitcoin mining side and they're looking for customers for HPC AI business there, right? Could they get those? Possibly, yes. But them going out and getting a consultant to help them find customers, well, that leads me to believe that they don't have anything right now on the plate. So they're looking for something that's going to be potential there. Hive is going to be moving to the United States here this year, to Texas for their headquarters. That's a good move there. That should help the stock out. The only thing is for me, they have great operations. No qualms there. Is the growth. I'd like to see them grow beyond the 15 exahash they're planning this year because I believe we might get close to that with the exahash. So if the exahash for the network grows to 1,200 exahash or something like that, right? We're at close to 800 right now. That's going to be pretty close to where they are right now with about 1% of the network hash rate, roughly, more or less. So that's still not a lot of growth for them. I'd love to see them grow more. I would look into some of the other miners that are growing more, I think. Those might do a little bit better. The ones that have maybe more HPCI potential as well. So there's quite a few things you can look at. And maybe Riot does get something that's good there. I don't know. Riot has been operating better recently, but it's still not nowhere near the 95% uptime that they've been talking about here over the year. So we'll see how they do going forward, I guess. Let's see what else here. MyDejan says, investors have no interest in the pure play miners like Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Hive, Mara. Hive isn't a pure play. Hive has actually HPC-AI business that they're already getting there. It's small. It's like, close to maybe $1 million now a month or something like that, or a quarter even. I can't remember what that number is there, but small. Let's see. I have a few dollars to buy some miners. Should I buy now or should I wait the few weeks, months to see where Bitcoin is heading? I would say dollar cost average in, because we really don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin here. It could be explosive when it does go, and the miners are going to run with it, I believe. especially if the miners do provide really good quarterly results here for Q4, which should be coming out here in about a week or two. In February, we should start seeing those. You might be then chasing them. So I would say if they're pretty low right now as it is, I would say dollar cost average in, right? Not financial advice, but that's kind of what I would do at this point. Let's see. Hello, Seb. How can we still expect 3 to 5x with so much dilution and institutional shorts as at the same time? Thanks. Some of these guys are already done diluting, right? Cleanspark is done diluting. They said that they're not looking to dilute anymore this year, which would be good. They have enough cash to get to 50 exahash plus. IREN's definitely diluting, right? $1 billion. That's not really great there. Others are close to being funded to where they need to be, or they're going to be dialing a little bit here. The shorts, I think the shorts will turn around once we start getting some good EPS numbers from the reports here coming up in Q4, which are going to be reported in February and possibly in March as well. So I think that will the tide will turn on that a little bit. The shorts will cover and go long a little bit on those, I would think. But yeah, do I think we still could get 3 to 5x on these guys? Yeah. Bitcoin goes up to 200,000, later on this year or something like that. I still think some of these guys will definitely be doing much better here. Okay. Why do miners go up high in the morning but then dip to break even but near the end? I think it's algorithms. I think it's the big guys still trying to rein in the miners. Pulling them back like, you're not going up that high, not that fast if you can help it. So I think that's kind of what's going on there. It's just you can see it across the board here with all the miners pretty much today. So that's gonna give way in a little while, I think. And then Cleanspark dollar price target if BTC goes to 125,000. Well, that's not much higher from where we are right now. It's roughly 20%. At that point, I would think they should be at least 30-40% higher from where they are right now. If we're looking at it that way, maybe even higher, maybe 50%, depending how they do, right? But if they provide really good quarterly results here for Q4, EPS numbers come out really good, they're beating expectations and estimates. Well, then the stock could go up even better than that, right? Even if Bitcoin's at 125,000. Let's see. How long did the final run up on the miners last during the previous cycles? Well, last cycle was a different cycle altogether. In the prior cycles, we only had a couple miners. So 2017 cycle, we had maybe less than a handful of miners that were actually public at that point. You had Hive. I think Bitfarms was in there as well. Maybe, I'm trying to think, like DMG, Digihost, I think were in there as well. Mara was just coming out right around that time as well, transitioning over to a Bitcoin miner. So at that point, those guys did run up nicely, but in 2021, it was a strange one because we peaked in, was it April, like around 63,000 or something like that. All of the miners at that point peaked about a week or so before that point, and then Bitcoin came down in price and then bounced back up towards the end of November where it got to 69,000. The only one that followed suit was Marathon. Marathon did a double top basically and went up actually higher than the first peak. Everybody else was just couldn't muster the strength. I think maybe because Mara came out to say that they're going to be getting to 21 exahash at that point, like within the next year, which everybody else was around, 1, 2, 3 exahash or something like that. That was huge growth for them. Obviously, they didn't get there in that year. It took them 2 years to get there, I think, or more than that, actually. But that's, I think, maybe what kind of propelled the stock up at that point to go to the second high again. So if we think about it being a repeat, I would expect the miners, if we don't have a double top like we had in 2021, the miners should follow suit and probably top out somewhere around, I would say maybe September, October at the latest, I would think. But that's kind of, we'll have to wait and see if that plays out that way. Okay, let's see. Do you believe yesterday's rescinding of the SBF 21 will have a material impact on the miners' next quarterly report? SBF 21, wasn't that the one where banks can now custody Bitcoin, I think? Is that the one that I'm thinking of? Let me check here. There were so many things that were going on yesterday, and I'm terrible. SBF 21. I'm going to look it up really quick here. SBF 210 or 21? I can't remember. Let's see here. That's not it. Yeah. SBF 21 refers to the silver banana shaped piercing the nope, that's not it. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it was. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Okay, let's see here. Gary has a question. Doesn't Mara management control enough shares that they vote to dilute? Is really a rubber stamp? I believe so, pretty much. Okay, yeah, correction, SAB 121. Thank you. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. SBA 121 or SAB. SAB repeal. Yeah, banks to custody Bitcoin. I don't know how that would be a positive for the miners. I mean, the miners are already using like Coinbase to custody their Bitcoins, or another third party maybe possibly there. I don't see how that would impact it other than maybe driving the price of Bitcoin up, right? Okay, let's see. Question, can you analyze IREN's graph? They look mad bullish. It is looking actually pretty good considering that they came out with $1 billion ATM here. So if we look at IREN here, I don't know, I'm not a chartist guy. I look at just what's going on with the companies here. We obviously had a dip here when that news came out for the $1 billion ATM, but it has rebounded since then. So the consensus might be with the big guys and institutions, maybe some retail as well, is that the $1 billion is going to be used for the HPCI business at the Clearwater site. I think it's Clearwater. Yeah, I think it's called Clearwater site. That's going to be used there to possibly rein in a hyperscaler. Time will tell on that one. But that does kind of look like somebody else is maybe front-running a little bit. Like they might know something because of it. Historically, when you had an ATM of that size, the stock would have just kept going down, because that's basically, they were valued at $2 billion. It's a $1 billion ATM. That's 50% of their market cap there. That's almost like 50% there. So typically it retraces quite a bit there. But it hasn't. It actually bounced off of it. So I'm glad I didn't sell anything. I'm glad I just held on to it. We'll see where it goes on forward from here, but anything is possible with these guys here. Okay, going back here. All right. Let's see. Eric Trump confirms U.S.-based crypto projects will benefit from zero capital gains tax. What do you think, Seb? Seems like Bitcoin will be left out, it seems like. Well, I don't know. Let's see. So crypto projects will benefit from zero capital gains. Well, Bitcoin is a crypto project. Why would it be left out at that point? Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Okay, Hotwater has a question. I don't get how doing Cleanspark so poorly versus IREN and Riot. IREN has massive dilution. Riot is not efficient. What is going on? Trying to make sense of Cleanspark. They're being shorted. That's the only thing that really is going on there. They're like the number 2 or number 1 as far as being shorted right now, as far as the miners are concerned. Why? I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense based on operations, everything else. You would think that they would be flying high, right? But they're not. So it's just a sentiment in the space right now that you go along on certain things to short other things, hedge your bets basically. And that's the way it's been playing out right now. I think that's going to change in a couple of weeks here. The reason for that is EPS results for quarterly results for Q4. But we'll see. I could be wrong on that. But I'm not the only one thinking the same thing here. Okay, let's see here. Do you believe the SEC's rescinding of the SAB 21 will have an effect on the quarter earnings report? Yeah, I don't think so. That is I think we talked about this. I think you were the one that maybe somebody else asked it. It's just allowing banks to custody Bitcoin. Yeah. Let's see. Question Mara just wants to increase the market cap, which they are doing a great job at. They have never focused on the shareholders. So dilute and buy more Bitcoin and keep increasing that mining lead cap. That's not really a question then, is it? It's more like a comment there, Gary. But here, take a look at, this is kind of interesting to take a look at. On Marathon, if you look at it here on the screen with all of my metrics and, all the data, you can see that their value for Bitcoin HODL is 4.7 billion right now, roughly, right? Their market cap here is 6.4 billion. The HODL to market cap is 73%. They're not really being, it's either they're not being valued for their HODL position or they're not being valued for their operations, which the operations have been getting much better here over the last 2 months. November, December have been fantastic for them. So I can't say anything negative about that. But historically in the past, their operations were not great. So which one is it that they're not being valued on? Is it the operations or the HODL? Where you would think if it was HODL, then they should get at least a valuation of, like some say, like JP Morgan says that they should get valued at 2x, right? So that would get them to approximately 9.2 billion. They're at only 6.4 billion, right? So it's not really evaluating them, like I said, on operations or HODL. I don't know which one it is. And maybe they are being valued on just a Bitcoin, but that's still, I mean, their assets are going to be so much higher than, yeah, it's just crazy that they're being valued that way right now. They should be valued much higher, I believe. And that goes to say here for December here, numbers here, right? Between 32.93 and 49, if we take December numbers of revenue times 12 months, I mean, they're almost $1 billion in revenue at this point, with Bitcoin being where it's at. They're at $19. Yeah, they're undervalued here, just like a lot of the other miners are as well. All right, go back here. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Are you still green on Bitfarms? Are you planning to sell from now on? I am still green, just barely. I'm up like 10, 12% or something like that. So I'm still barely in the green, but I'm green. I'm waiting to see what they report for January as far as what was their increased hash rate, operations, things like that. I want to see what the heck is going on there. If it's not what I was expecting, I may sell a portion of it some more. Last time I sold was back in November, I think is when I sold a portion of that. So we'll see how they do in January. Let's see here. How many pure play miners are left? I feel like everyone is leaving to do AI HPC. Won't that make the remaining miners super profitable? It might, right? Depending on the timing. So the timing is going to be a big factor into this. There's, I think, only really Mawson and Cleanspark left, possibly. But even those guys, I don't think would, say no to a good deal for HPC AI if they got it. So the only thing with HPC AI, and I posted this to the Discord's chat today, was, I mean, it's really profitable for the hyperscalers right now, or the data centers that are having other services included in that, right? So you don't have just HPC AI, you also include in there, virtual servers, right? So you can, let me go back a little bit. Typical data centers like AWS, Google, Azure, and others as well, they make a lot of money on having complementary services, right? So you have services that intertwine with what they're offering already, and they're making more money on it. So with Amazon AWS, I know this for a fact because I used to, develop websites and things like that. So I kind of know a little bit what you need in there for it to work. And I've worked with AWS as well in the past to set up servers and things like that. So with AWS, the way that they generate money is, one, you start out with basically a virtual server. On top of that, you add in data store. Data store could be basically SQL, or it could be just files, right? Whatever you need there. Then you also have bandwidth on top of it, because bandwidth costs money. So you have bandwidth there. Then you add on top of that also the ability to scale quickly. So you can scale the operations up and down as needed for the demand that's on the website or systems or programs, whatever you're using. So there's just a couple examples right there of what's driving a heck of a lot of revenue to these guys. I mean, you can see it in AWS's earnings. You can see it in Google's earnings and things like that. Where are they getting most of the revenue from? It's like the cloud, cloud hosting and all that stuff that goes into it there. So when you look at some of the HPC AI deals that we're seeing here right now, it's just basically servers for HPC AI. You're not really seeing anything else on top of it, at least for the miners themselves. The miners are basically becoming hosting providers for these companies. It's just, here's a set rate. You're going to pay us whatever it is, 2-3 cents per kilowatt hour, whatever it might be, or $1 per kilowatt hour, whatever it's going to be, right? So they're just getting that set rate for X amount of months or years or decade, whatever it might be, but they don't get access to any of that additional revenue streams that a hyperscaler could possibly get. So it's a lot more profitable for the hyperscalers than I think it is for the miners to do it. Plus, the miners don't have the capital to become a hyperscaler right now, except for maybe CoreWeave is doing that right now, right? They got huge funding and everything else. they could possibly pull that off, become a hyperscaler to also provide those other services there. Once you have large language models and maybe inference and things like that, you can add on additional services for SQL. You create websites and things like that, applications that are run on top of it. So they're going to be generating a heck of a lot of revenue here. And it's just like, as you get more and more of these data centers online, the democratization, the supply and demand economics are going to go into work here, where eventually, like with everything else, as there's more supply of something, it's going to come down in price. And we've already seen this a little bit with IREN. IREN said last year, right early, I think this was probably maybe May, June last year, Dan was one of the spaces. He said that HPCI, that the ones that they're buying, the H100s, was looking like about a 2-year ROI, right? Then a couple months later, about 3-4 months later from that, now they're talking about being more like 30 months, right? So you're already seeing that supply increasing there, and that the revenue potential that's coming into it is decreasing at that point. And also at this point right now, where Bitcoin is right now and where HPCI revenues, they're pretty close to being on par. I think HPC might be a little bit higher, but eventually I think when Bitcoin gets to like maybe 110, whatever it might be, at that point, that's going to start becoming more profitable for it. So it's the good thing with HPCI, yes, it's for a longer term. It's more steady, right? Bitcoin, we have cycles up and down. It's more volatile, but you definitely reap those rewards when Bitcoin does go parabolic. At that point, you can make up for a lot of the bad months and quarters in the past at that point. I hope that kind of makes sense. I hope it kind of, kind of gives you at least where my thoughts are, where my head is on this. I do like HPCI business. I think it's great long-term revenue, but I think Bitcoin mining still can be the superior form of revenue there. But it's wild. It's right. It's very, very, very volatile. All right. Let's see, next question here. The question, Bitdeer announces a 1 billion stock offering in November and the stock rocketed like nothing. Why wouldn't you expect the same for IREN? Okay, well, Bitdeer and IREN have maybe similar megawatt portfolios, right, as far as growth is concerned. I can't remember. I have to look back to see which one's actually bigger, but I think they're both, around 2 gigawatts plus at this point. So that's the same thing happening there. The only difference is that Bitdeer is generating or building their own ASICs, right? So there's huge cost savings advantages there. Plus, if they can mass produce those things and sell them to the industry here, they can generate revenue on that as well. IREN doesn't have that. Bitdeer is also starting to hodl a little bit more, where IREN does not. And yeah, they're both going into HPCI as well, but looks like they also have a lot of growth here in 2025, second half of 2025 and into 2026. That is for Bitdeer. And with them getting their own miners at cost, basically, that's kind of a huge advantage there as well. So I think that's maybe why. That's the only thing I can think of that would be the reason for it. Okay. Seb, do you still think IREN can get to $50-$80 range with this dilution? Depends on how much and how quickly they dilute. That's going to be tough, right? If they pull really, really hard on that trigger, on that ATM, in the next, I would say, 12 months, then that might be tough. But it also depends on where Bitcoin's going to go. If Bitcoin goes to 200,000 and then beyond that, maybe we can still do that. That's going to be the tough part right now, figuring out how much they actually dilute and when. We don't have any insights into that until it actually happens and they report on the quarterly results how many shares they have left. So that's going to be tough. Do you think Mara all-in cost to mine Q4 will be higher or lower than their 120,000 cost per coin in Q3? So they're all-in cost. It should be lower because they generated a heck of a lot more revenue. They were also had much better uptime at that point, so that should come down on it. Yeah, it should be much lower. And if you include also into it the FASB rules, then I mean they might be like at a negative price point at that point to mine because that value of the HODL went up so huge in that quarter. So something to keep an eye on there. Cleanspark has a short position of $700 million. So when the shorts get eliminated, that is add to their market cap all 700 million positions. I'm not sure where you're seeing the 700 million. Oh, the value of that. If the shorts, yeah, I don't know how that works. I think once the shorts start covering those, it should go It should, I would think, right? I never thought about that, where that would go. I would think so. But just the shorts covering themselves is going to let the stock be able to run, actually. Right now, it's kind of like having a handbrake on the stock. Every time it wants to go up, you're just like, no, you're not. All right, here. Hi, Seb. Saw this in an article from Seeking Alpha regarding Bitfarms. Can merging two unprofitable companies create synergies and improve margins? Yes. Do I believe it will make a meaningful difference? No. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is getting to scale, I think, with these guys. Whether it's Bitfarms merging with Stronghold or CleanSpark or IREN or Mara, it's getting to scale. Scale fixes a lot of those nagging costs that are the underlying costs, right? SG&A, everything else that's included in there, professional fees, attorneys, all that stuff, right? When you can get to scale and you're generating $100 million a month or a quarter, whatever it might be, those other costs come way down because of it, right? But if you're only generating 30 million or 20 million a month or quarter, something like that, that makes it tough when you're spending $15 million a quarter on SG&A or something like that, right? So you need scale. You need to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue than what your actual costs are. So it definitely will be interesting to see how they do that. They do have a lot of things that are duplicates, right, when it comes to things. So they can definitely cut some things or cut some fat and make it a little bit better going forward. And if they can use those power plants for possibly HPCI business as well, that might be a good thing there. So we'll see. Question, have you heard about any progress IREN is making on HPC contract? SB says something is going on stock price. I have not heard anything on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that there might be something there because they did come out with, $1 billion ATM here. Why would you do that when you just got 440 million from a convertible note? So there might be something in play there. We just don't know what. Okay. Is Bitcoin being thrown out the window solely because it's not American made? No mention of Bitcoin reserve, just a crypto reserve. It wasn't even mention of crypto reserve. It was just a crypto stockpile, right? So they didn't mention the word reserve in there. But you got Cynthia Loomis still working on there. She's now she's the chair of this subcommittee for banking on crypto. And she stated that they're working on a Bitcoin reserve. So I think that's going to happen. I still have pretty high hopes that it's going to happen this year. But we'll see. All right, let's see here. What do you think of price prediction of Bitfarms when BTC at 21 and 35 exahash and BTC at 225,000? Oh, well, I would think that it would be much higher from where they are right now. There's going to be definitely some dilution here happening with them buying Stronghold. So it's going to dilute the shares there, but I would expect it to be at least at that point around $8 to $10, I would think, if not higher. Okay, let's see here. Question. Solely feels like utility crypto will be the next big thing. I hope I'm wrong for the miners and my Hive's sheer sake. Which crypto? Well, so utility. Okay. So which crypto actually has some utility? Bitcoin we know is a store of value, right? That's utility there. That's what its best thing is. Ethereum has smart contracts. So does Soluna. I'm trying to think of who else has smart contracts in there. But if you can do those types of things, okay, there's some utility there. And yet, we haven't really seen Ethereum run up as nice as Bitcoin has this past 2 years, whatever it's been. It's still underperforming more or less, right? So I just don't know if I see that happening. Okay, what else here? Why did we dump in the afternoon? I think it's the algos, the algorithms are still, controlling things for them. I mean, there's no really reason for it to dump. Bitcoin's coming down as well, so that could have been it, right? And if they follow Bitcoin, that's going to happen to us. Let's see here. Seb, do you think the Chiefs are backed by the refs so they win again? Yeah, I don't know. It does kind of look like it, doesn't it? I don't know. We'll see on that one. They do seem to have some favorable outcomes for them, that's for sure. Let's see. Johnny has a comment I got here late. Not sure if you talked about Digital. I did, yeah. Are they a true hidden gem as it appears, or are they all smoke and mirrors? They seem to pivot if needed. I think they're good, right? And the reason I say they're good is because they're dealing with these smaller contracts for these smaller HPCI deployments. But they're growing their business, so I think they're undervalued from where they should be, really. But not much, not that much undervalued, but I believe they're undervalued. They should be valued much higher on it. And they're not really being valued on that or their Bitcoin mining side of things here. I know they're moving some miners out of some places and getting some newer ones, so that's good there, but they're just not growing that side of the business that much. But yeah, I mean, they should be valued higher from where they are. Let's see here. What did you think of Invest Answer's minority report showed Hut 8 as the worst efficient and producing miner? I would agree with him on that. Revenue per share, so did their price simply go up because they added Pompiliano? Well, that's one thing. They also had Druckenmiller invest in them. Somebody else also invested in them. No, Druckenmiller. No, was Druckenmiller and Wolf, I think, right? But they had the other one, was it Code 2, I think, invested in them, $150 million or something like that. So there's that going on. Pompiliano has over 1 million followers. How can it not have an impact on the stock? So yeah, as far as operations side of things are, yeah, they've been the worst here this past year on that side of things. So the only reason I can think of the why stock is pumping is because of the HPCAI potential there and some of the the known names that have been associated with the stock as well. Okay. All right. Did shorts also play a spoil sport like this in last cycle? Oh, good question. I'm trying to think back. I know the miners also, the miners were down because of the halving event. This time around, they were up actually before the halving event, which wasn't the case last halving event. They were actually going down into the halving event, and they were down after the halving event, then they finally ran up. This time, like I said, they were up before the halving event, then they went down, and it's taken them longer to run up than in the past. So I'm sure there was some people shorting them in the back then as well, the prior cycle. But it seems like it wasn't as much as it is now. Curious, when market ignored FSB in Q1 to Q3, why do you think they will change how they value it for Q4? Bitcoin percentage gain in Q1 was more than Q4 and market didn't care. Actually, the market did care. We saw some of these guys that did provide good, they had a nice pump, but they came down because of the halving event. So that's the main reason why I think for that. If it wasn't for the halving event, I think this miners would have probably continued to run there on the Q1 results. But Q2 was bad, right? Q3 was bad for those guys. Q4 looks like it's going to be pretty good here. So, and then Bitcoin goes up in value higher. That's going to be a good thing as well. Let's see. Should Bitcoin hit 125 and miners barely move? Do we throw in the towel? Easier to get a 3x on solid altcoin, Link, SUI, etc. Yeah, I mean, at that point, if the miners are still flat at this point, I would say I'd give it to 150,000. If Bitcoin gets to 150,000, the miners are still flat, at that point, I'd be like, okay, this is over, or we're being heavily manipulated and they're just waiting for us to capitulate and be like, see ya, we're out of here, and then they run it up. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how things go. Right here, let's see. Hank says, hey, Sebastian. Hey, Hank. I like the live BTC price and the miners tickers. Have a great weekend. You too. Thank you so much for coming in here. All right. I think I've caught up to all your questions here. We're going on close to an hour here, so we'll call it a day. It's late, 10:14, not too late. So I want to maybe watch a movie or something like that. Hopefully you guys still have a little bit of a night left over. Where do I want to go? I want to go here. But yeah, we'll see how Bitcoin does over the weekend on Saturday. We'll get back into the swing of things on Sunday. We'll see how the miners did against Bitcoin this past week and anything else that happens over the weekend, because you never know. Okay. So thank you so much for coming in as always. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys on Sunday.